I put. I keep. Okay. I hit the priority one. I'd like to call the Parks Commission meeting of August 17th, 2022 to order. And I'd like to call the order, call it to order and with the roll call. Keisha Lee.
Present.
Bill Henson.
Present.
Sue Rich.
Here.
Maxine. Mayor.
Here.
Mayor. And I'm here. And so let's see, do we see anyone hearing from any citizens? Do we see anyone that wants to speak?
We do have somebody on Zoom. I will allow Jody to talk, and if she would like to. Your mic.
Just listening.
Mine to show you what it's like.
Yeah, would I also note that Travis Neal has joined us as well, so we do have a quorum. Are there any written communications?
None.
Okay. Since I was not at the July 27th meeting, does anyone have any corrections to the minutes of the July 27th meeting? Or do I hear any corrections to the August 2nd meeting? Those were both discussing, we were talking fees and et cetera. So if no one has any changes, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of July 27th and the minutes of August 2nd.
Take one motion for both and separate motion.
Well, let's go with one. Let's go with one.
I'll make a motion to approve the special meeting minutes, Parks and Recreation Commission from July 27th, 2022.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So done. So ordered. We'll move into the director's report.
I did.
Oh, I thought we were combining. Okay. Well, the minutes of the August 2nd meeting, any corrections? All those, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of August 2nd?
So moved.
So Lee moves second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So passed. Okay, we have the director's report. Beverly cannot be here tonight, but we'll ask Don to do that.
Okay. Well, camp's finished. So that's the good thing. And we're moving into the next phase of everything. So to start the report with soccer, it will start practice on August the 29th. We have had to borrow some soccer field area since Stacy Park construction is behind due to the weather that we had the past couple of weeks. So we're borrowing some grass space from Hillcrest, Miriam, and Emmanuel Lutheran. And it should only be like 1, maybe 2 weeks that we have that. And whenever we get further along into the report about where we're at with construction and all that, I'll give you kind of the update with that. But the great thing is we're over 500 players in our soccer league, which is a big increase from last year. So Corey's done a fantastic job with that, and could not praise him anymore. Summer camp ended with the Municipals camp. There's some photos there in your packet. That always seems to be like a favorite. It doesn't get to do so many different things of working with the police department, working with the fire department, the Public Works Department does a display. This year, the planning and zoning, they did Box City and things like that. So it was a great thing. And they got to work in Parks and Rec per day too. So it's a lot of fun. We had a care camp. We hosted 2 weeks of care camp in the building. That was a great need, and they loved it. They want to do more with this next year. So we'll definitely expand on that connection. And then we had Mad Science Camp in there throughout the summer. It seemed about every other week they were in the lecture room with different camps, whether it be rocket camp or ooey gooey camp or science or space exploration camp and little veterinarian camp. There was like a whole slew that the Mad Science camp people do. So
Don, were the camps full?
most of every week was full. There was a couple that did not fill because people dropped and we couldn't get the people off the wait list in, but most every week was full. So take capacity. So it was good. It was a good year overall, or good summer, I should say. Stargazing party on August the 2nd or August the 6th happened at Warson Park. Again, there's pictures there for everyone. And great turnout, had about 28 people and got some great pictures. Actually, this photo that's in your report, which I am just now realizing that I'm not sharing on Zoom, the report. So this that photo right there is taken from that event with a cell phone through one of the telescopes. So it's really cool. They let you connect your cell phone to their telescope. You take cool pictures like that. So one of the big programs that we are going to start that's coming up, and you'll see it in a little bit later further down in our special events calendar that's coming up, is August the 30th. The Parks and Recreation Department will be hosting an application for residents to join the Spire and Ameren Home Energy Assistance Program. And it helps those that are in need and below the federal poverty line with gas, propane, electric bills, stuff like that. You do not have to be in jeopardy of disconnection. It can be, from what we're hearing, almost anyone can call and they will reach out to see what your assistance is needed, but you do need to come that night, or it's 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. to fill out the application so the right entities can get in touch. August 30th.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
it's very cool we're doing this, but why does this fall under Parks and Rec versus another department?
We made the connection. Marvin did this program at his former city. So they wanted to do it again and we just had it, hosted it. And
That's great.
So yeah,
Just curious,
so
yeah.
it just expands our horizon of what we can offer. And it's a great program. I can't wait to see how it all, out and helps our residents. And you don't have to be a resident of all of that to do this, but we're the local organization that's doing it. So we suspect and hope that most of our citizens that need this kind of assistance will come in and take advantage of it.
And also with the fee group started looking at alternative ways of determining income if we have reduced price. And that this was one of the programs I think that it was coming up with. And is Kiana going to put this out on the website?
She already has.
Okay.
Yeah, so she started posting it this week, actually, I think it was. So you put it out there too far in advance, everybody forgets about it, and too close and nobody saw it and nobody sees it. So it's that happy medium of when you can put it up. So, park division update. Brian and Ed were very busy, fixing some washed out trails. Obviously from the rain, but, they were shoveling gravel for about 2 days straight, fixing some, washouts and really prepping some areas that been in need of fixing to, keep the washout from happening. So, they were all over the parks shoveling gravel and doing that. It's just some of the examples of what Brian and Ed have been doing. Irvside has gone through a mass transformation. Not only has the tree protection fencing gone up around it in preparation for the construction that's going to start happening there next week. But I am in the middle of working with Ameren, Bates Electric, and a boring company to get new power to the pavilion and to the bathhouse. During an exploratory investigation, we found out that a line going from the pole to each of those facilities had a break in it. And it was an underground buried line that has been there for, we don't know how long. So we moved forward in trying to chase down and then just said, okay, well, now we're gonna have to put a new line in. Well, while we're at it, the pole is a temporary pole. Let's put in a permanent pole. So the Public Works Department had a pole that they helped us put in, and we dug that in and got that in place. And now I have to get with Bates. So once the boring is done this week, then next week I get with Bates, gets Bates out there to run electric in there. After they have the electric lines run through the conduit, then Ameren comes back out, connects the pole to the live wire and back in business. The pavilion has been totally renovated. They've taken down the big wall and made it a half wall. We're gonna cap that wall. So now you'll be able to see into the pavilion from the street. So we also ran new electric inside the pavilion to alleviate some of the circuit breaker popping that has constantly plagued us at that park. So, and part of that was overusage and everybody bringing a crock pot and putting it in all at once and keeping them on high. It's going to trip any, breaker. But then also the break in the ground didn't help. So when that's all said and done, even though it's an old pavilion, it will have brand new electric to it and in it.
Will the lights work?
We are actually taking the lights out because the park is closed at dark.
Now, that's all on us. It's not part of the Prop C.
That is
work.
all on us. It started out as a little project trying to find the break and the connection and why the breakers were popping. And then it just started snowballing. And once you unravel the sweater, you
Yep.
just keep going with it. So the underside of the bathrooms with the roof replacement, there was some plywood that had to be reinstalled. So we put up the new plywood, and also we're in the process of painting it. That look right there is probably middle of the way through the project. That wood is so dry, it was just sucking up paint. We're about 8 gallons into it, I believe. And it's not that big of an area. So the list of events coming up. Movie in the Park is August 27th. We'll be showing Sing 2 in Warson Park at 8 p.m. The utility assistance program that I've already discussed, that's coming up on the 30th. The citywide yard sale is September the 17th and the 18th. The Rockin' in the Park, September 24th. That will be our first event back in Stacy Park, with it being at least the parking lot reopened. Pavilion, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So good news, but I don't think it'll be up by the 24th. So Basketball registration opens on November the 14th. Hopefully we can ride the wave from soccer into basketball. And then the Olivet cleanout will be October the 13th from 4 to 7 p.m. That will also be at Stacy Park. And then our Harvest Festival will be October the 22nd.
The basketball registry, where are they going to play? Because my understanding is that the community center gym is toast.
The community center gym is no longer a gym.
Mhm.
It's a waterlogged floor mess that we have. So we have already secured Old Bottom School. We made some inroads there and with Keisha's help and got back into Old Bottom School. We also have already secured Hillcrest and are in talks with Miriam Academy. So. Questions?
Any questions of Don?
One question going back to your very beginning.
Yeah.
You said we were borrowing some land. Does that mean that are we paying for it? Or are we just like, they're letting us use it for the soccer games, or is it?
Some of them are, one of them we will have to rent. And the other one, we're kind of working a reciprocal on them because our firemen come and do some stuff for them, like water days and stuff like that. So they're lending us a spot of grass.
Thank you.
Other questions? Seeing city council report.
Me, I did have one question for Don. What was the number for the soccer participation?
We have over 500 players.
Excellent, thank you. So first of all, I want to congratulate the camp staff. It was a wonderful summer and the pictures say it a lot. And I talked to some of our staff that worked with municipalities and they said it was incredible. Indian Meadows Pavilion, we had our first reading based on your recommendation at our last council meeting, and the second reading will be this coming Tuesday, August 23rd. I participated in the ribbon cutting up here at Firestone, and the Oliver people have begun to move in, and we have their ribbon cutting is coming up in September. And the city council, and I believe Kiana put it on Facebook this week or on Instagram, but we did tour the Olive Crossing before the floods with the rain, and so it wasn't as muddy, but it was great just to see the parking garage and walk through the apartments and get a feel for what is there. The tractor or the crane, like just the wheels itself, were probably as tall as I am. That was kind of crazy. But it was really fascinating to be on the property and to walk through, and then for Greg Yowitz to kind of like say from that perspective, what's going where this, coming up. So, and, this, the whole process. And then I had coffee with the mayor last week. I had a wonderful guest and he was very informative. His name is Jordan Kadosh. He's the regional director of the ADL of the Heartland. So that's St. Louis and part of Kansas City. And he talked about programs that they do within the schools. So I know that I'm going to be reaching out to Keisha in the near future. They do a No Place for Hate program in the schools, and some of the districts that they mentioned that have signed up. And it was a great set. We had over 25 people and a lot of questions after his presentation. We also, on September 14th, I'm having the infamous Beverly Tucker Nights. So if anyone, if you want to come and drill her, no, I'm kidding. If any of you want to come to Coffee with the Mayor, we always have good treats. And Beverly's going to kind of give the community an update on what's going on with the parks. And at that point, we'll be gearing up to reopening some of them. So be great to have her there. So, any other questions?
When is the commercial development going to start at Olive Crossing? Did they say?
He didn't get into the dates. He has to bring some of it still to PCBC.
Okay.
So
Any other
I have a
questions?
question. The easy storage. Is there still any movement on that?
Yes, they have, they've started working with, doing some of the work with MSD and Ameren to start getting the land ready.
Okay.
So
'Cause I
they
know we
are coming.
started talking about that. It
Yeah.
was like one of the first projects and.
They were before all these
Now
other
they're
ones. But, so, there's been some, bumps in the road along the way for them, but it is coming.
Okay, thank you.
Don, update on Prop C construction?
Oh, boy. All right. Well, as you all have in your packets, you have the dashboard that has continually been updated month to month for not only for this commission, but for the council. And the great thing is we have some walls and some roof joists down at the community center. So in your pictures, you can see that the building is really starting to take shape. And it's so interesting to see because you can see where the changing stations are, where the aerobics room is. You really can't see where our offices are yet because they haven't made that way, that direction. But it's kind of neat to see, and to see it come from basically dirt to this is pretty awesome. But it's a slow go. You know, setbacks on some things that we knew it was a matter of time of when we were gonna have some setbacks, either weather-wise or for you know, lead times for things like electrical panels. We never would have thought that you need 42 weeks for electrical panels, but you do. So you know, but they're moving along in the areas that they can. So the pictures in the center there that you're looking at on your screens now, that's the top is the path around Warson Park, around the ball fields. They were working on that actually this week, and they had a roller out there with the skid steer. They were fixing some of the gravel that got washed out, so they must be ready to start moving in the direction of making that not gravel. So and then the bottom picture there in the center, that's our park maintenance operations building. So they you can see the walls are starting to go up there, and that's awesome to see. And we really wanted to see that finished before Leonard retired, and we hope that we're at least closer to it by the time he retires in October, September. I want him to stay until October. I think it's September. Yeah, I know. I know. It's going to be here before we know it. I said the number of weeks the other day to Bev, and she told me to bite my tongue. 6 weeks, she goes, you bite your tongue. So, but you know, the other pictures that are on there is the top right picture is the trash enclosure that's fully completed and done, and down at the community center. And then the bottom right picture, that monstrosity of a thing, is the gymnasium. So it's really, you see how that all come through. So that's the Warson Park update.
A question on that.
Yep.
I noticed that you've got projected dates for GRG Trail, the splash pad.
Mhm.
Do we have any dates revised? Best guesses on the community center itself?
Best guess that we're being told is spring. So, you know, with the delays that have happened and could potentially keep happening as the things are getting ordered or backlogged, or, you know, we're hoping, you know, spring.
Till March to June. Okay,
We're hoping more
I mean,
April at latest, but
yeah,
yes.
I
spring
realize,
is
I realize
March
it's
to
a
June.
guess. Yes.
Yeah. So, so there's that. So any questions on the community center in Warson Park?
For both community center and question for the community center and the parks. where there may have been washout or damage from or rework from the rain, are we responsible for the cost of that? Or is that something the developer is because we haven't signed off?
It's best answer this. There's no cost, direct cost to it. There's just delay, which then could be later a cost. But right now, what we're getting from the Worsham Park and the community center side is some of the delays that are happening are like that said electric panel that I was talking about. Get to the next part about the parks, there's delays there of things that I would have never even thought of that. But nothing has been directly cost effective or effective to us yet, so. Let's keep our fingers crossed that we keep on that path, so.
Thank you.
Okay. So the parks dashboard, again, there it is. It's in your packet that you all received last week. Finally, Hankins hit the snag of weather that they could not stop. So the biggest takeaway that I can give you of this is the concrete curbs are installed. And, you know, if you're walking in the non-construction part of the park, you can see them and you can really see the layout of the parking lot and how much bigger we got and how much nicer it's going to be. So now we're just like itching to get the asphalt in, which I'll give an update here in a second. But it's kind of neat because now you can, especially in that top left picture there, you can see where the pavilion's going to be, where the sidewalk's going to be, and right on the other side of that sidewalk is going to be parking. And the proximity of that parking to the pavilion, way better than what we've ever had. So it'd make it so much nicer for people that are renting that. The picture that's on the bottom down here, this was the bioretention basin that's out in front of the park that we all thought whenever they built it, that it was way too big. That thing was a monster and I don't understand why it had to be that big. And then 7 inches of rain came and it took everything. It was amazing to watch and it worked perfectly. It did wash out some of the stuff that because the sides weren't shored up yet. So we had some erosion there that they had to go back and fix. But for 7 inches of rain, which is unheard of, and then they turn around and that thing was able to take it. Was amazing. Unfortunately, Old Bonham across the street did not have such good luck and had some damage. A retention wall fell. Because of that, because the retention wall fell, some classrooms in the bottom were flooded. So they have been at their current community center doing some things. They did teacher training on Monday. Tomorrow night is meet the teacher. They're doing that in the park. And then Sunday they did popsicles in the park with the teachers and the principals, and everybody came out. So we've tried to help them out as much as we could, because although we all got hit, they got hit more, and you know, we're working hard to try and get them back open as they start school on Monday. So
School will start on Monday.
yeah, well, yeah, let's say let's say school will start on Monday. The progress with the more photos for you. Villas, they are all of the piping and conduit and everything is done for the splash pad, which was one of the bigger projects there. That is all done. We got a report on that today. And as you can see, there was some water there. So we've been really fortunate on the number of rain days that we've received, but also just the tenacity of, okay, we can't work on this, let's work on that. Right, but, let's go from this park to that park, because we can't do this because of this, they were able to move, so. Yeah, it's a headache come next week that all the parks are gonna be closed for the first time. But they're working feverishly to try and get something open faster by moving and, shaking and, it's basically, it's a shell game. So, Indian Meadows has the new walkway cut in and the water feature is installed there. They are going to start doing some work in there next week on the log retention for the bylaw and all that. Erzide will go down next week. They are going to start, they have the tree protection in place. They're going to start moving some things in there and taking some things out and, really get started moving through there. There's an electric panel problem at Villa that we're waiting on. So, but that one seems to be a little bit further along. So,
Ask about this tree at Indian Meadows. Is that one of the trees that we had planned to remove?
yes. That one is.
Have we lost any additional trees due to the storms?
We didn't, luckily, we did not. We've thought with all that rain that, and as big as some of those trees are, we thought the saturation of the ground would just cause some of them to collapse over. But knock on wood, they have not, and let's hope that just didn't loosen something for it to happen later. But yeah, I mean, it was lost a big limb out of a tree. That is one that we were taking down anyway. So that's kind of a help. But the wind wasn't that, well, I shouldn't say it wasn't that bad. I don't live in this direction, but the wind didn't seem like it was that bad because there wasn't more limbs down everywhere. There was some limbs down, but not big limbs. Earthside, you can see the tree protection is up. There's some walkway access right now for this week back to the playgrounds. And I already told you about the electric problems that we're trying to chase down. So. Any questions on the parks?
I notice under the owner's risk, the budget risk, the Stacy Park parking lot and the Villa splash pad, are those? They seem almost that they're almost complete.
They're close.
Yeah, and
So
why is that a budget risk?
here's what I can, in the budget risk in that if we wouldn't have had the days of rain, we would have already had asphalt on the parking lot at Stacy this week.
But
So
how does that become a budget risk?
the I don't, to answer, honestly, I don't know.
Okay,
But it's in the delay.
it's more
So-
schedule risk than a budget. Okay.
Yeah. Right. So I can share some good news with you. The pavilion is being shipped this week for Stacy Park. It will take 1 day to get here from Michigan. And it is scheduled to be on site. And Hankins is going to take it, put it in their yard, put it on trailers instead of taking it straight to the site, sending it on the ground, maybe the new asphalt, maybe the ground where we have to dance around it. So, yeah, so they're looking at maybe if timeline stays true, maybe start as early as August the 29th with construction on the new pavilion. So.
Do they know how long that will take?
No, the ideal landscape is, I think, is the installer on that. I think the installer on it. But they've seen it. It'll probably take you a couple weeks to do it because it's not a small, it's not a small thing. So.
But you mentioned soccer might be impacted by the parking lot? Is that what you were saying earlier?
Yeah, so because the delay in paving, we were they have to start the first 1 or 2 weeks of practice for soccer at other locations because we can't get the teams in. We can't be parking all the teams in the neighborhoods. Because that's a huge impact of parking right away. Whenever we're having 6 teams come to practice and now you got 1.5 cars per kid, all parking and flooding the streets. So we're just gonna hold off on practicing them at Stacy. We're moving them to Warson Park, Hillcrest, Miriam, and Luther and South, maybe for 1 or 2 weeks until the parking lot is finished. And then once the parking lot is finished, then we'll get going.
A schedule question.
Mhm.
That September 24th date, Rock in the Park, is that,
Those are fingers. Cross our
so
fingers.
so
That's-
is our alternative to just cancel it if we don't have?
It
Well,
depends,
close.
it depends on where we're at with everything else. I mean, it could be a venue change, maybe take it from Stacy to Warson. Those events are usually bigger and Warson. I mean, with having the lower parking lot now under construction for the park maintenance building, we can really only fit about 50 people. Monday with all the teachers there, we were parking on the street out in front on Grandview and the turnaround was all parked up and trash cans were blocked. I mean, it was find a spot and stay there the whole day. So. Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, it's, yeah. There's more spots there than you think, but whenever everybody is coming in one car at a time, it fills up really quick. So,
Yeah, I just think being in late September, the postponement. You're kind of.
yeah, and it's really gonna depend on that schedule. I mean, the pavilion probably will not be up. And we're okay with that. But we want to have the parking lot done, so we know we're hoping for sure the parking lot will be done by September 24th, because we'll already started soccer September 10th. So we will, we're gonna push to get an event in Stacy Park, whether the pavilion's up or not. We'll be able to show some progress because, the pavilion will be here in about a week. So, hopefully we can show progress to that when we have that event.
So I had a question,
Yep.
actually, now I have a comment and a question. Going back to your comment about moving the soccer because of on-street parking, when we just had this conversation about on-street parking with relation to Indian Meadows Park, which is in a subdivision. I think that we're contradicting ourselves and we should be very cautious of that. That's my comment. Then, my question was originally about the contingency. Are we on track with spending, for what we, think is going to be allowable and with related to change orders and those things of how much of the contingency will we retain?
At this time, we have not had to dip into the contingency on anything. But I will say, we're early in all the construction processes, except for Stacy. But the thing with Stacy that helps us so much is we bought the pavilion way before we even signed the contract with any contractor. So the city bought the pavilion knowing we had to get that ordered in order to get it here in time, or we would be that much further along. So as far as the parks, we're early on in it because they're just going from one park to the other park. There are some things that we're hitting hiccups with, nothing that's major concerns money-wise yet.
So the 51,000 that's been spent, that was planned,
Which are you in the community center or are you on? the parks?
I'm right where you are.
Okay.
Under contingency and allowances,
Over there.
you have the 51,427. So
So
are those just from change orders or was that actual just,
I don't know exactly what all of it is from.
okay,
So, and I can get a detailed out for that if you'd like. And we
I'm
can, we
just-
can share that with,
I guess that's
But-
about what, 60%?
it's. Yeah, and we have. As we move further into each project, the contingency that we held out for each one moves away. So there's. General contingency and then there's owner contingency. So we have two contingencies, and as we start moving more, money starts falling from one of the contingencies into the projects. So maybe it's eaten up from to the tune of, okay, well, that was a known, like the delay that we've had at Villa, we've known that was gonna happen once we found out with the rainwater, how things flow. So we've halted to do some of that, but the contingency for, that has been for change orders, nothing astronomical yet that has been like.
I was just asking because doesn't seem like a lot of money.
And it-
With a significant amount of the project still on.
Yeah.
To be done.
right, so I mean, and if you think of it as, $6 million of the parks. That, it's 51,000 and we're 80% done with Stacy. We haven't even broken into Herb's Eye yet.
That's my
we-
point.
yeah.
And you
So,
only got
yeah.
$85,000. I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, I hear you.
Yeah,
and
I'm just
it's-
wondering, what is the city's plan if we exceed the contingency with change orders and delays and going into the winter months? I would assume the longer you go into the winter, the more weather, that you'll be dealing with and possible disruption, just from history.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I'm looking at it, following up to what Keisha was saying, what's the difference between unforeseen conditions? I mean, I kind of understand what that is. In owner held contingency, it seems like they're just two pots of the same money, or what's, because
they're not-
we've pretty much maxed out the owner contingency for the parks. It says we only have 1,300 left, anticipated changes, is what they're saying.
Right, but at this point, everything has been engineered out enough. I mean, the bigger engineering feats were the splash pad at Villa. The pavilion at Stacy. Those were the big engineer plan drawn stuff that, okay, where did we miss? Like whenever we came back with the change for the Stacy Pavilion about the downspouts. If you remember that conversation, hey, we're gonna have to put these big columns around it if we want them hidden, type of thing. Those little changes like that. But with those being almost done, I mean, the splash pad is plumbed, all the plumbing is in and ready. They still have to pour but the engineering part of that is done. So it's not that. It's not that, oh, we only have $1,300 left. We don't have much left. And the rest, if you look at it, the rest of it is playground installation, which that's like an erector site.
Yeah.
And we put it together. And then pathways. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how far along we are in some of the cases, and then some of the cases, it seems like we're miles away, but it's gonna go really quick.
Okay.
So,
We'll hold you to that.
I cannot control.
I know. Being facetious.
Trust me, we want it done before you do.
Yes.
Our phone is the one that rings
Now,
constantly.
one other thing that I understand is there's a move afoot to move parks to here, to the city center. Is
Yeah.
that, am I letting anything out of the bag?
I guess we can talk about it. We will be parks, the parks, the recreation
No, I
department.
understand, yes.
When the park ops building is done. That gives us the leeway to keep things on track with Orson Park construction. To vacate the community center. Move programs that we have going nightly. Do the community rooms here. Us move temporarily into a space in this building. And then they can start the abatement process of the community center, which will take some time. And then demolition of the community center, which will take some more time, but it will help keep things on track for a minor inconvenience of us having to relocate offices and moving our operation over. So all said and done, we're looking at November.
Okay,
So we're still trying to flesh that out again because it depends on the maintenance building. Being able to take some of the stuff that we have in the current community center and move it over into, that area and move some storage pods around and stuff like that. So
and was
Yeah.
that sped up by the damage that was done to the current community center?
no,
Okay.
it was actually being talked about before.
Okay.
Before we had the waterfall inside.
Right, okay. Other questions?
I got one more,
Okay.
sorry. This is related to the air conditioning unit, I believe, at the community center, which doesn't, I think is just a couple years old, if I'm not mistaken, that we
3 years old.
replaced.
Mhm.
Do we have plans to sell that, or what are we doing with that? In
We
terms of demoing the building?
we are twofold. We are in talks with 2 organizations that may be in need of them and may be able to repurpose them. So they're not going to go in a landfill. And then the other part is Wright Construction, who's our general contractor, actually is doing the demolition on the building that they have. When we move out, they will have control of the building. So there's some things that we're working with them on. Okay, what can we take out of here? Some things that we want to take out of here and reduplicate out of the current communities, and whether it be doors or or fix fast items, the kitchen interior, things like that. So we're talking with them on, do they already have the plan for that? Because whenever they signed the demolition, it was to be over there, but we know of 2 organizations that are in need of air conditioning units. So we're talking with them and getting an answer from Wright at the same time to see if that can be, we can accommodate both.
Are those for purchase or we talking about gifting?
We have talked about purchasing the units being sold.
Okay,
You can't really sell, we can't sell with a for sale sign on it and put it on Facebook Marketplace. We have to go through a
procurement.
yeah, a procurement. section,
Correct.
To do, but yeah, we're looking at that. If we
Okay.
can, we are.
I just know that that was a lot of money spent. I mean, it was needed at the time, but we didn't know.
And the crazy thing is knowing now the delays. I wish we could have reused them because that might be one of the delays that we're hearing happens with HVAC systems and system. So fingers crossed now because we can't use them. And now we have to, it's better to, our goal is not to let them go into a landfill. Is to reuse them somewhere else for somebody else for purpose that's needed.
Any other questions? We've got future agenda items. I will start out on the park memorials. Schedules just did not work for this month. And so Keisha, Maxine and I are going to get together in the next few weeks to talk about that. Everyone's had their schedules full at this point. Park master plan implementation, I think we've been talking about a lot of that. It's the group, let's see, Sue and Bill, have you had a chance to talk about time capsule?
We've spoken a little bit.
Okay, so we'll put that off until September as well. So if we can work to get that information going for that and working and coming back for reports in September. Appreciate it. I think we've gone
One
through.
question.
Yes,
before you
ma'am.
report, was the fee group supposed to be on this list as well, or?
B group is, yes, it needs to be on here.
Okay.
I think as we can push that out a little bit because of we're talking early part of 2023 now. So, but we kind of hijacked the fee group with the pavilion piece. And so we can move along with that. I think all of everything through September 24th was on the list. Next Parks and Rec meeting on the 21st. And the other items. So, are there other business that needs to come before the commission tonight? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.